Hey, yeah, Sean. Oh, Sean is not available. He has coronavirus. Okay, I can hear you laughing over the. Hey, I'm already here. I've been here for an hour. I got all the movies. We're supposed to be doing the top 10 list. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Courtney, what's going on? Swine flu. Okay, you are aware that you don't just contract swine flu by eating pork. Okay, all right. You know what? Don't even worry about it. I'll do the videos with somebody else who is actually committed. All right? All right, hold on. Hey, Zaire. No? Okay. Hey, Cora. Wrong number. How do you know it's a wrong number if I didn't even say your name yet? What time does Mela get out of school? Yes, no, I am aware that is. What's my name? Sean. Sean Peat. And I'm sorry about your third grandmother. Yeah, no problem. President's Day. You're Canadian. Hey, Marley. Just wanted to know if you were interested in...
No. That camera? Are we
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark here from FanCast, and we did it! We made it past the 2010s, and we are officially into 2020. That means that we are in the 20s. So, the 2010s was a weird decade. The movie industry was just as strange, but it brought us some absolute moments of brilliance, and I want to talk about it because I love movies. And more importantly, the 2010s did something for me personally, and that is got a young, idealistic teenager and transitioned him into a man that became a filmmaker. All right, and the 2010s and the movies in the 2010s are a big part of that. So let's get straight into it. Today, we are talking about the top 20 movies of the 2010s. Starting off, I decided to make this list by year. That is a really hard thing to do because sometimes you get 2 movies in a year, or sometimes you get 4 movies in a year that have really changed and shaped things. But I tried my absolute best, and this is what I came up with. We got some rules. One is that half of these movies are gonna be a matter of opinion, all right? My opinion. I can try my absolute best to speak as objectively as I can about which movies moved and shaped the cinematic landscape for the past 10 years, but what I can't do is separate my own personal bias, all right? There are movies that I like. There are movies that I like and I don't even understand why I like them. But I'm gonna try and explain. The other half of the list are going to be movies that I believe have shaped the last 10 years, which means that certain movies that are my favorite might not have made the cut based on a movie that I feel like is more important, all right? Another rule that I have for these lists is that I try to make it as diverse as I can. I don't have a single director twice. There are actor overlaps, there are genre overlaps, but I do not have a single director on here twice. So keep that in mind when I'm making the list. Okay, all right, let's do it. 2010. If you can remember 2010, congratulations, you're old, and you are much older than I'll admit that I am, so, there's that. In 2010, my taste had just started to change up a little bit, and there are 2 movies that I saw that just completely freaking ruled. I don't even know how to describe it better than that. The first one is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Let's start with Launchpad McQuack.
That's not the actual title of this.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is an Edgar Wright directed film that stars Michael Cera and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and honestly, it is just so cool and stylish. I could literally spend an entire day talking about the editing alone, and smarter people than me already have. I will pin the videos, all right? It is a brilliant film, but not only that, but it captured exactly what my youth culture at the time looked like. Obsessed with nostalgia, built off of video games, especially retro video games. It had a very anime flair, even though it's technically not based off of a real anime, but it is based off something that's stylized like an anime. Like a manga, sorry. These people will kill me if I mess that up. And not only that, but it just set the stage for so many actors that would become mainstays of the 2010s. I'm talking Anna Kendrick, Allison Pill, Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Weinstein. It is crazy how many people were in this movie and a part of this movie, and just the most random ways, and just went on to go on and kill it. And I know I'm missing people, so I'm gonna have to add them in later.
Maybe next time we don't date the girl with 11 evil ex-boyfriends.
Okay.
Oh, that's not that bad.
All right, next movie for 2010 is Black Swan.
The Swan Queen, the exquisite Nina Sayers.
Black Swan is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It is easily my favorite Natalie Portman performance and my favorite Darren Aronofsky film. This is the top of them, all right? It is dark, it is menacing, it is terrifying. It just gets under your skin. And Natalie Portman brings her absolute A-game. This movie is a movie that also stars Mila Kunis and Vincent Cassel, possibly at their best, and they don't even exist compared to Natalie Portman.
Leave me alone!
That's how good she is, and that's how strong that performance is. 2011 brought a change to the cinematic landscape. I honestly think that even though there was a lot of the same going on, a lot of people really wanted to experiment and see how far they can go with what they had. And these two films are a testament to that. The first movie is Like Crazy, a movie that I saw way after 2011. But when I did see it, it was like I got hit by a car, all right? This movie is more impressive to me because of the behind the scenes than the actual movie, which is saying something because the movie is actually very good. Check it out. It is one of the strongest performances from the late Anton Yelchin. And he is great in it. It also stars a starting out Jennifer Lawrence and Felicity Jones, and they just show a beautiful growing romance that just turns at the end, and it's just heart-wrenching. It is a drama in the truest sense, and it's great. It's also another one of those movies that is very based on the demographic that they were going for. Millennials can feel this movie in their core. But outside of that, the entire movie was shot on a Canon 7D, which is the camera that I use to film FanCasted episodes, and I just think that that's the coolest thing in the world, as well as the fact that it is based on a minimal script. Like, there's not much script going on.
Who are you texting?
Just work. An order.
It is a 500-word outline that the actors kind of just improv through after a long and lengthy discussions about backstories and world building for a movie that just hits on every level. If you haven't had the chance, check it out. It's great. The next movie on our list is Drive. Everything that I said about Like Crazy is very similar to my feelings on Drive. It is stylistic heaven. It is just so much packed into a movie with so many strong performances. This is the movie, in my opinion, that got Ryan Gosling out of that, like, I'm gonna do The Notebook and do romantic movies into, like, no, I am a badass superstar that should be leading in movies. And we've been on a Ryan Gosling ride ever since. Drive doesn't have much dialogue either, but what it does have is incredibly strong performances. Oh my lord. The film is directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, which I'm pretty sure I'm saying wrong. It boasts the cast of course, Ryan Gosling in the titular character who doesn't have a name, Oscar Isaac, Carey Mulligan, Albert Brooks, Bryan Cranston, and Ron Perlman, and Christina Hendricks. Man, it is everything I love in a movie. It is a neo-noir. It's stylistic. The colors are gorgeous. The soundtrack is bumping. It was just a great time. And honestly, probably the beginning of the Molly era. I don't even know. We'll see. I gotta take that out. Moving on to 2012. 2012 was a crazy time, man. We got stupid movies, and we got the 2012 theory where everybody thought the world was gonna end. I don't know what that was all about, but anyways. In 2012, what we did get is Quentin Tarantino's absolute tour de force. We got Django Unchained. Django Unchained made me like JB Fox, which is crazy because I really just don't like his acting. And what else can be said about this movie that hasn't been said before? Samuel L. Jackson is killing his role. Christoph Waltz became a mainstay after this. Leonardo DiCaprio turned out what might be his best performance ever. No, seriously.
To the man with the exceptional beard and his unexceptional nigger.
Alongside that, we also got Kerry Washington in the role, who killed it and then went on to become like one of the best stars of the 2010s. And it's just a great film. It is very Quentin Tarantino-esque. It is biting. The social commentary is there. It's incredibly filled with satire. It's funny. It's crazily funny.
Anyone bring any extra bags?
No, nobody brought an extra bag.
I'm just asking.
And on top of that, like, it's just great cinema, which is something that will become a much bigger debate with a lot of these filmmakers as the years go on in the 2010s, and that we will continue to be living through in the 2020s. All right, the next film that I have is The Master. This is a film that was deserving of every single award that ever came its way. For those of you who aren't super into the know, it is a Paul Thomas Anderson film that is very loosely based on the doctrine and very enigmatic leader of the Scientology religion. But they changed a lot of things and tweaked a lot of things so that they wouldn't get into any trouble while making the movie, because the Scientology religion is very, very, very strict in their portrayals on screen in any way, shape, or form. It's a whole thing. The point is that they made this movie, and this, above all other pictures, is the movie that convinced me that Joaquin Phoenix might be one of the greatest living actors. No, not the Joker. No. He is absolutely mesmerizing in this movie. And I mean like magnetic. Like, you cannot take your eyes off of him for a single second that he is on screen. And that's to say he is acting alongside greats. People like the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman and Amy Adams, both of whom are bringing their absolute A game. And every scene that Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix share together is just absolute gold.
You love Doris.
Yes.
Is she the love of your life?
Yes, sir.
Why aren't you with her?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Tell me why you're not with her if you love her so much.
I told her I'd come back, and I never went back, and now I gotta get back to her.
Why don't you go back?
I don't know.
Why don't you go
I
back?
don't know.
Close your eyes.
But Joaquin Phoenix is just living charisma. And he's just weird. And he's just super weird, and he's hard to look away from, and his performance was just beautiful. This will definitely go down as one of the greatest movies of the 2010s, bar none, hands down. Paul Thomas Anderson is a genius. All of his movies are great, but this one completely stands out. All right, so 2013 is the year that I went to film school, and every single person that I went to school with told me the exact same thing. You need to watch this movie. It's by the Coen brothers. And I said, ew, I don't care about the Coen brothers. That's stupid. I didn't know who the Coen brothers were.
Now, I shouldn't really have to explain exactly who it is that Joel and Ethan Coen are, but if you don't know, these guys are legends in Hollywood. And Inside Llewyn Davis is really their love letter to folk music and classic American music.
All right, one more before I go.
All right, so I went to watch this movie, and it is now easily in my top 5 favorite movies of all time because of how dark and funny and depressing it is. All right, it is not a grand Hollywood movie, which means that you probably haven't even heard of it. It is the first movie, however, that I saw with Oscar Isaac in it, and absolutely fell in love with him as an actor. He's great. But it's also rounded out by people like Justin Timberlake and Adam Driver and John Goodman. And
Also, not for nothing, but Carey Mulligan is just absolutely killing it in this movie, and honestly, she should be in more things.
I should have had you wear double condoms and then wrap it in electrical tape. You should just walk around always inside a great big condom because you are...
And it's just a weird, fun movie about a folk singer who just literally cannot catch a break in any way, shape, or form. Check it out. Watch it. Love it. You'll get it. Anytime people are talking about Martin Scorsese, and a lot of times, especially over the past year, when we bring up Martin Scorsese, we tend to see him as this like little old man who's just mad that Marvel is making more money than he is.
A theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks.
And, you know, he might be, I don't know. But we also have to remember that this is a little old man who is at the top of his game as a director and absolutely brings it for every movie that he has ever done. This movie is absolutely no exception. I'm talking about Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is absolutely nuts. It is almost 3 hours long and you don't feel it at all. It is like you are on the same drugs that they're using in the movie. Of course, it is starring Leonardo DiCaprio, one of Martin Scorsese's newer muses.
Will not hang up the phone until their client either buys or fucking dies!
Who brings an absolutely decade-defining performance as the real-life Jordan Belfort. And then rounding out the cast is just like the most eccentric group of crazy people that you've ever seen. All right? I'm talking Jonah Hill, Matthew McConaughey,
Kyle Chandler, John Barenthal, Rob Reiner, Jon Favreau, and Jean Dujardin.
Margot Robbie in the role that kind of made her. You know, this is a great film and it deserves to be on everybody's top 10 list. And if you haven't seen it, for the love of God, go check it out and don't watch it with me.
I'm doing 500, I'm out of control. But there's nowhere to go, and there's no way to slow. If I knew what I knew in the past, I would have been like that on your...
In 2014, I only wanted to do one thing for my birthday, and that was watch the brand new Christopher Nolan movie. I did not know what it was going to be about, as is usually in his fashion. I barely knew who was going to be in it. I just knew I had to see it. And when I did, I was never disappointed. Never. I'm talking about Interstellar. Interstellar is Christopher Nolan's space epic. All right, that's the only way I can describe it. It's a lot of people debate on whether it's sci-fi or not sci-fi. I consider it a sci-fi. It is just absolutely gorgeous to look at. The cinematography in this movie is breathtaking. The performances are great. Matthew McConaughey is absolutely incredible in this movie, and he had like a renaissance that year. I think they called it the McConaissance. Anyways, Anne Hathaway was amazing in the movie. We got a surprise performance by Matt Damon in the movie. Christopher Nolan movies are not for everybody, and I understand why they're not for everybody.
Cooper, there's no point in using our fuel to
analyze the endurance of spin.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Docking.
They are very matter-of-fact when it comes to character. The dialogue sometimes sounds a little mechanical. That's not really why you're watching a Christopher Nolan movie. You're watching it for the spectacle. You're watching it for the story. You're watching it for the absolutely breathtaking cinema that he takes super serious. All right? This is a man who builds entire set pieces around his story ideas because he does not like using CGI. That's passion.
Killing main engines! Okay, we're out of orbit.
In the wake of big spectacle and the bombastic imagery of Interstellar, we also got a much smaller movie. A film by a director by the name of Dan Gilroy called Nightcrawler.
I'm looking for a job. I'm a hard worker. I set high goals. My motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy a ticket. So what do you say? I could start tomorrow, or even why not tonight?
No.
If you haven't heard of this movie, please give it a chance. Check it out. It is terrifying, all right? I feel like the entire pitch for this movie was, what would happen if Jake Gyllenhaal was just allowed to be himself? Turns out, not great. But Jake Gyllenhaal, the entire movie lives and dies off of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. And that's not even to say that everything else wasn't great in the movie. I mean, Renee Russo is absolutely phenomenal in her part. We got a small but memorable part from Riz Ahmed, who is now one of my favorite actors. It is frustrating at times to watch. There is no resolution that you're going to be happy with, but it is all of the right choices for this story. Okay, so as you probably already know, we're going to have to make this into a part 1, part 2 type video. Part 2 will be dropping soon, but there's just way too many movies, but you guys are going to be psyched out to see all the next movies that we have on the list. If you guys thought that this list was crazy, the next list gets even crazier. It's going to be controversial, it's going to be fun, and I will see you guys next time. Marc Samuels, FanCast it. Love you guys. Stay safe. Peace.